Write and solve an equation to find the missing angle measures. So the missing angle measure here is on number 11, the 6x. Once we find 6x, then we can fill in the others. I know that you know what the answer would be because you can see that these are vertical angles. And as we talked about in class, vertical angles are congruent, which means they have the same angle measure. This little line right here through the angle indicator means that they have the same measure because I put one here and one here. But to solve it algebraically, we can set this expression for this angle equal to this known angle measure. So we would say 6x is equal to 30, and then to determine what x is, algebraically, we would divide each side by 6 because we're doing the inverse or the opposite operation of what is happening right here. 6x means 6 times x. So we're going to divide each side by 6, and we're going to get an answer of 5. So that means over here that 6 times 5 does equal 30. So this angle measure is 30. This angle measure is 30. So if these two are 30, when we look at our line right here, we know that 30 plus this must equal 180. So we know that this angle measure right here is 150. And if this angle measure is 150, then this angle measure is 150. So x is equal to 5. The angle measures are 30 and 30, 150, 150. Number 12. We don't have intersecting lines, but we do have a straight line. And the straight line contains two angles, and the two angles would then be supplementary, which means that when we add this angle measure to this angle measure, they should sum to 180. So we're going to take the expressions 4 plus 5x and add the other expression. These are just grouping symbols to show that this is a representation of one angle measure, and this is the representation of the other angle measure. And we're going to set that all equal to 180 because when I add them together, by definition, that's what they should add up to. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of my x's together on the left-hand side, and I'm going to put all of my numbers together on the left-hand side. This is called combining like terms. So I have 5 x's here and 1 x there. So that means I have 6 x's all together. If you thought of these as blue ponds, that would be 5 blue ponds and 1 blue pond. So I would have 6 blue ponds. And if these were number blocks, 4 plus 2 would give me 6. So now I can solve this algebraically by subtracting 6 from each side. And when I subtract 6 from each side, I'm going to get 174 is equal to 6x. And again, this is a multiplication problem, so I'm going to do the inverse operation to just isolate my x variable on one side. So that means that on the left-hand side, My 6's cancel to 1's. So I have 1x. And then when I divide 174 by 6, I'm going to get 2 and a 9, 59, or excuse me, 29. 6 times 9 is 54. So I'm trying to find the missing angle measures. So when I find my x value that is not my angle measure, that is just the value of x in my expression. So what I need to do is I need to substitute 29 back into this expression and see what the value of this angle measure is. So for this angle, x plus 2, I'm going to have 29 plus 2, which is going to give me 31 degrees. This angle measure is 31 degrees because x is 29. Now I can solve this one of two ways. I can substitute 29 in and multiply it by 5 and add 4, or I can simply take the value of the straight line angle measure, 180, and subtract 31 and get this angle measure. So I'm going to do the second way. I'm going to take 180 and subtract 31, and I'm going to get 149 degrees. Now to check myself, I can see if when I add 149 plus 31, if I would get 180, and I would. So my x value is 29, but that's not the angle measure. Number 13, I'm going to use the same process that I did on number 12. I know that the sum of the angles on a straight line is equal to 180, so I'm going to add these two expressions together and set them equal to 180. So I have 5x on one side and 3x plus 12 on the other side, but all together they have to equal 180 degrees. Notice that they put the degree symbol on the outside of the parentheses because that means that when I get done doing this math inside the parentheses, that will give me my number of degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine the things that are similar. I'm going to combine my x's. 5x and 3x is going to give me 8x plus 12 is equal to 180. And now I want to just have my x's on the left-hand side. So I'm going to subtract out my 12 from both sides. And when I do that, these are gone, and I'm just left with 8x. And over here, I'm going to have 168. Because this is multiplication to just get my x isolated, which is my goal in algebra, to have my variable on one side and a number on the other, I'm going to divide by the coefficient that is in front of my x value. So 8 divided by 8 is 1, so that just leaves me with 1x, and 168 divided by 8 is going to be 21. So now I can come back and put 21 in and find what my values are for my measurements. So 21 times 5 is going to give me 105 degrees for this angle measure. And 21, I'll go ahead and do the algebra. 3 times 21 plus 12 is going to give me 63 plus 12, which is going to give me 75 degrees. So this angle measure is 75 degrees. And that makes sense to me. This angle looks a little bit bigger than 90, and this one looks a little bit smaller than 90. Number 4. On number 14. On number 14, my straight line is right here. They were a little, I wouldn't have done this, but they stopped the line right here. I would have extended it a little further. But they show you that we have a 90-degree angle right here. And if we have a 90-degree angle right here on a straight line, we know that on the side opposite that ray, this also has to be a 90-degree angle, because 90 plus what would give me 180? Well, it would be 90. So that means that this expression and this expression, when added together, have to equal 90 degrees. So I'm going to write those two expressions. And set them equal to 90 degrees. And then I'm going to solve. I'm going to combine my like terms. Because I'm adding the whole way, I can simply combine these two to get 36, and 6x is equal to 90. And now I want to get my x's, my 6x's all by themselves. Subtract 36 from each side. Those are going to go away. 6x is equal to 54. And now to just get my x there isolated by itself, I'm going to do the opposite of multiplication. X is equal to 9. So when I substitute 9 back in for this expression, 6x plus 4, I get 6 times 9 plus 4, 54 plus 4, and that's going to give me 58 degrees. I could have simply just taken 32 degrees and subtracted that from 90, but again, the purpose of this activity is to practice our algebra when I am trying to find missing angles. So, number 15, I have two expressions. I have a right angle indicator here, so I know that the sum of these two angles has to equal 90 degrees. So 2x plus 1 degrees plus x plus 2 degrees equals 90. Combine my like terms. 2x plus 1x is 3x. Combine my 1 and my 2. That's going to be equal to 90. Subtract 3 from each side. Three x equals 87. Divide both sides by 3. And I'm going to get that x is equal to 29. So if x is equal to 29, I need to substitute that value back into these expressions so that I can determine the measure of these angles. So 29 plus 2 would be 31 degrees for this angle. And over here, 2x plus 1 So that's going to be 2 times 29 plus 1. I always do multiplication first. So 2 times 29 should give me 58. Plus 1 is going to give me 59 degrees. And when I add 59 and 31, I do get 90. Last one. I'm going to set these both equal to 90 degrees because on a straight line, if one side is a 90-degree angle, then the other side also has a sum of 90 degrees. So this expression plus this expression is equal to 90 degrees. Combining like terms, I have 5x plus 4 plus 1, which is 5. Subtracting 5 from each side, I get 5x is equal to 85. Divide each side by 5. Oops, that's not degrees. So now I have to substitute 17 back in for my expressions here. 3 times 17 plus 1, that's going to be 51 plus 1 equals 52 degrees, which should be the measure of this angle. And 4x, or 4 plus 2x is going to be 4 plus 2 times 17, which is going to be 34, and so that's going to be 38 degrees. So my measure of this angle is 38 degrees.